Good afternoon. This is Rick Ackerman, editor and publisher of Rick's Picks. I want to apologize. I did start a broadcast earlier, but had to cut it short because of a desk emergency. Anyway, I want to finish the presentation now. The subject was Apple. It's having quite a day today. Uh, Earlier, it popped to within a few pennies of a 212.77 target that I put out earlier in April. The target was actually in play when the stock was trading around 190 in the first week of April. And just the move has been very powerful. There was no doubting that it was going to get there. And typically we take a small short position with puts when the stock gets to a target, but we don't risk too much. The idea behind these counter trend plays at targets is to make sure that whatever you're buying in the way of put options on a rally will be profitable within perhaps 2 to 3 minutes. We want to be buying puts at the exact top. So in any case, you can see on this chart here that Apple has gone up through that 212.77 target, and the move is significantly enough above that target that it holds bullish implications for the immediate future. Now, because Apple is at this point, with this huge rally that it's had since traded around 140 in January, it's added 50% to the value of the stock. And at the highs, Apple was the most valuable company in the world by capitalization. So the amazing thing about this rally is that it's occurred against a backdrop of news that said that sales for iPhone were weakening, not only in the U.S. but in China, which is the second largest market for their flagship product. Most of Apple's revenues come from iPhone sales, and they're selling fewer of them simply because customers are holding on to their iPhones longer than they used to. And also Apple is meeting with some very stiff competition from Chinese producers in particular, namely Huawei. So these are fully featured phones that sell for quite a bit less than Apple's overpriced hardware. So the company has problems, and one might have thought that their solution was no solution at all. They announced some time ago that they were their big new idea was to move into streaming content, as though that would have the profit margins that they get from selling overpriced iPhones. But the masters of the universe lost no time popping the stock so that everybody had really little chance to read the news for what it was. The thought was, well, geez, if the stock is moving up on the news, then it must be bullish. But I don't see any big gains for Apple in shifting more of their business into streaming content, where they're going to be competing with the likes of Netflix and Amazon's HBO, some established players. So it's a very difficult, getting increasingly difficult, simply because Netflix in particular has bid up the price of talent. So I have serious doubts that Apple can make the kind of money moving more deeply into the content business than it's been making with iPhones. So nevertheless, the stock has gone nuts, a full 50% gain. When you're talking about the biggest cap stock in the world, that's a lot of money that has been put back into the pockets of the masters of the universe. So as long as this huge cap stock is moving higher, the broad averages are going to be moving higher as well. Today, somewhat rocky circumstances. The Dow's up just a little bit, and it's not exactly following Apple, but because this move today, you can see got just a little bit above this peak that was recorded last November at 210. That makes this rally of the last couple of days what I call impulsive. The implication is that it's strong enough that any correction, if this stock should fall 10 points from here, it would still be a buy. So the move today was impulsive in having exceeded that high. So I'm going to show you something else that would correspond to Apple going up, up, up more or less forever. In the S&P cash index, currently trading 29.43, I've put out a target with a little bit of a drum roll up at 3095, and that is about 150 points above where we're trading now. That's equivalent to a Dow rally that would put it up around 28,000. So you know that if you followed these presentations, that I'm about as bearish as anyone out there, but I can still read a chart. So no matter what I'm thinking, no matter what my gut is telling me, if the charts say higher, I'm completely on board with it. But looking over my shoulder as well, because at this point I would give you a lock-up target here, absolute lead pipe cinch at 3001.96. So that means that we've got a 59-point rally, 58-point rally from here, which would imply a pretty hefty Dow rally as well. If it gets above that pink line, what I call the secondary hidden pivot, we'd be looking at 3095. One way that my subscribers play that is with using this volatility index for the S&P 500. It's a short-term indicator, and if you told me a couple months ago that this thing was going to fall to 2158, I would have said, how is that even possible? You know, the Dow would have to be at 28,000. Well, I no longer see that as an impossibility. So with this VXXB, we've had a very good track record buying call options, but we only do it when it's hitting major D targets represented here by the blue line. So that's about it. If you're interested in the hidden pivot method that I use to trade and forecast, I would suggest that you go to my website, rickackerman.com, and on the home page, at the top of the page, rickackerman.com, if you just put in your name and your email address, you will be instantly a free trial subscriber. That's 2 weeks, no cost. No obligation, no credit card necessary. When you do this, I would suggest that you head for the chat room. Just click up here. It's actually a trading room, and the room draws traders from all over the world. It's a 24/7. It's a going concern, and you'll see that a very helpful bunch spends their time there, and they're frequently offering timely suggestions for trades that you can do in various stocks, futures, and options. So if you take the trial, which I would strongly advise, be sure to say hello when you get to the chat room. So that is about it for today, and I'll probably do one more presentation before the week is out, but let me wish you all a very pleasant good day for now.